Hello. Welcome to another tutorial on SCTuts. I'm Sir Classy, and in this tutorial, we're going to learn how to mix a simple lead vocal on a beat. Now we have just a single lead vocal right here, and we have our beat right here. So we're going to mix this. We're going to do the tuning, the EQ, compression, add some special effects, and then we're going to have a final export. Hit the subscribe button, and let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our projects. Next, we're going to name the track properly. We're going to group them into the mixer right here. We're also going to set the tempo, and then we're going to save the project so we can get on with the mixing properly. So this is why we're going to name it, is so that we can have a proper it will be easier for us to identify it in the mix. Although these are not, it's not much, this is just a beat and a vocal, but it still helps long term to name them accordingly. So just name these beats, and then we'll name this lead vox or vocal. You can name it anything. I think I'm still okay with this color. I don't have to change the color. And then now we're going to group this in the mixer. This is the beat right here, Control L, and you can double tap this as well. Come right here, Control L again. This is the lead vocal. I advise you give some space in between so that you may have to do something in between. You never can tell. So, or you can always route it to other parts, but I like having my routed channels close to the main channel. So I just hit Alt and my left arrow. You see it's going to move and give it some space. Now that's fine. And then now we're going to set the tempo. Typically, if the producer does not tell you the tempo, you can find it in FL Studio by double clicking this and making sure this window appears. You right click and you go to detect tempo. Typically most pop music these days start from 75 to 150, but if it's trap, you can start from 100 to 200, but let's start from 75 to 150 and see what it gives us. All right, so this is 89 BPM. So listen and see if it's accurate. All right, sounds accurate. We can hear the metronome click. You can click another random section of it to make sure that it's truly okay. All right, so it sounds still on beat rather. So now we save the project. You can save the project by simply holding Control if you're using Windows, or Command if you're using Mac, S. Then you can save it as zip loop package or FL Studio file. You can avoid these other formats for now because FL Studio file only works for FL Studio projects. I advise you use zip loop package because even when it crashes, you can still always get your project up and running. But FLP, when it's crashing, you may not have that backup sometimes. So I typically save my mixes in .zip format. So you can just save this. You can save yours in FLP if you are sure that you're not going to be switching your hard drives or switching your PC often. All right. So now we finish setting up the project, and now we can start mixing properly. What I always encourage when mixing is you gain stage. Gain stage simply means you try to find the balance between the beats and the vocals before you even add any effects. So listen and see if this needs any gain staging. Because sometimes if it's recorded properly, then you may not really need to do too much when it comes to gain staging. Love you, I need you, see I want you, can't hurt you, cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see I need you, see you love me, can't hurt you, so my baby be my wife, so my baby be my wife. Alright, it sounds that I think that's just enough for now. Then now we're going to tune the vocals. We're going to, on our lead vocal, use a tuning vocal tuning software. So I prefer to use Antares Auto Tune. This is basically the amount of pitch correction as the retune speed. So let's listen and see if it's accurate.
Love you, I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you, cause I need you in my life. I need you.
All right, it sounds correct. So I'm going to show you my quick settings for getting the auto tune right on vocals. So I like to have this all the way down. Sometimes I like to have it all the way up here as well, but I hardly leave it in the middle. Depends on what I'm trying to achieve. If I want to sound more natural, I don't want to have too much, auto tune effect. So having it all the way down here make it sound more natural. I'm taking this, since this guy, that is the artist, his name is Schema. He's already a very decent vocalist. He can actually sing, so I don't need to do too much. And also I can have it somewhere around here, classic, and we'll listen.
Love you, I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you, cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see, I need you. See, you love me.
All right, so you see that sounds very natural right now for the lead vocals when it comes to tuning it. And since that's just the only vocal we have, you can just also swipe across the tracks to make sure it's perfect all the way.
Love you when you love me. Can I hold you when you hold me too? Don't let me fall. See, don't let me fall. Don't let me fall. Oh, oh, don't let me fall. Say, oh, oh, don't let me fall.
All right, so that sounds great. That sounds great. And the next thing we're going to do is to EQ the vocals. So some people compress first, some EQ first, so long as you do both. But I feel like starting with EQ. So we listen, and we'll try to take out the problematic frequencies in the lead vocals, like some low end rumble, some nasal frequencies, and maybe some harsh high end, if any. So let's listen and see if our vocals have any of this problem.
Love you, I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you, cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby be my wife. So my baby be my wife. Girl, I love you when you love me too. Can I hold you when you hold me too? Don't let me fall. See, don't let me fall. See, girl, I love you when you love me too. Can I hold you when I love you? I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you, cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you. See, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby be my
All right, so if you say AQ here, what I just did was I didn't try to do too much. I tried to keep it simple because I want to preserve the quality of the vocal. I'm not trying to do anything creative or artistic here. I just try to take out a little bit of low end rumble here, just a little, because I think the mic used to record these vocals were not bass heavy. So I'm not hearing much low end rumble here, but just a little bit to make sure. Then I just picked out a few points where I could really hear the nasal frequencies. By nasal frequencies, I'm talking about things like oh no, those kind of sounds. Those are nasal frequencies. So I try to cut them out, and I try to dampen the high end. It's like a little bit harsh in the high end, so just a little cut. If you notice, the changes, the adjustments are little, nothing complex, nothing drastic, just little changes, and this can go a long way in getting a great vocal mix. Sometimes I think a great vocal mix starts with the right EQ settings. So this is typically how my EQ settings look most times. It varies slightly, but this is typically how it looks like. And also, I will not advise you to EQ vocals on solo. EQ the vocals with the beats. I always advise you to EQ your vocals with the beats playing. All right, so now let's go on to compression, shall we? We simply use a compressor. You can use the in the beginning I like to use the stock plugins, whether I mix on Cubase, FL Studio, any software really. I prefer to mix with the stock plugins. So let me just try and get my compressor up here, and then we'll listen I usually have like a range I start from. I try to start with a compression of like 4.5 or around 4.5, and just take the threshold halfway. I will adjust this as I listen, and then increase the release, reduce the attack to make it really fast to capture it. Dance tracks really need fast compression so that it can really tame the inconsistency in the vocals. So let's listen and see.
Love you, I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you, 'cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby, be my wife. So my baby, be my wife. Girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall.
All right, it sounds pretty consistent all the way through. Let's listen to the end here.
Oh, don't let me fall. Say, don't let me fall.
So we're going to do some gain compensation because after adding compressor, the vocals kind of fell through the mix. Let me turn it off so you listen.
Need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you.
You can see how it sounds. Then when I turn it on,
Need you in my life. I need you in my life.
so we're just going to add just do a little gain compensation here of maybe 2 to 3 dB and see.
Need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you. See, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby, be my wife. So my baby, be my wife. Girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall.
All right, it sounds pretty controlled. It sounds well controlled now. And then we're going to add another EQ now. The first EQ we did, it was a corrective EQ. This EQ was just to correct the frequency imbalance in the mix. And then this is more, it's going to be a bit more creative. Okay? We're going to try to compensate some frequency changes. When you add a compressor, things are going to change. The more effects you had along your chain, changes are likely to occur. So you may want to compensate for the changes that's occurred, or you just want to have something else to try. So I feel like I want to boost the mid frequency a little bit more to give the vocals more body. So I just get to boost here just a little bit and see.
Need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you. See, I need you.
And I may cut down on the high frequency a little bit more.
Need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you. See, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby, be my wife. So my baby, be my wife. Girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall. See, don't let me too fall.
All right, it sounds decent. I will advise that at interval, you can reference your mix on smaller speakers. You can check it out on headphone or another speaker just something other than what you're using to mix, so you can know how it sounds, because you can get used to your speakers, or you can get used to how everything is sounding when you're mixing for long. So you can also take a break, probably like a 10-20 minutes break. 30 minutes break is also fine, just to refresh your ears. Here, just try to listen to nothing, just silence, take a walk, just refresh your memory, and then come back and listen to the mix. If you see translates well, then you're doing a good job and you can continue. All right, so next we're going to add some saturation to the vocal to make it pop even more. So for the saturation, we're going to use a very interesting plugin from Slate Digital. It's called Virtual Mix Rack. I love using this for my vocals because it just adds this warmth and tone and life to my vocal sessions. So I'll come here to vocals. Most times I start with airy vocals, and what it does is going to show you this racks. This is a compressor, this is an EQ, this is a compressor, and this is an exciter. So we're going to listen to it and see how it sounds, then we're going to make changes, if any, because sometimes it just gets it right, sometimes it just feels right. So let's listen.
Need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you. See, I need you. Do you love me? Can't hurt you. So my baby, be my wife. my baby.
So what this did was that it made the nasal frequency more enhanced. So I'm going to take off the EQ. I'm going to take off. Let me leave the compressor first and listen again.
Need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you. See, I need you. See, you love me. Can't hurt you. So my baby be my wife. So my baby be my wife. Girl, I love you.
All right, that sounds good. I just increased the ratio of the compressor and made the attack a bit faster. So make sure the noise reduction is on because these plugins cause noise. Actually, they add that warmth, and that warmth causes a little bit of noise. So now we want the vocals to be a bit thicker and less brighter. This shimmer means you want it to be brighter, and then this thickness means you want it to be, fatter. But I think I don't want it to sound more food up. So let's listen again and see if that's fine.
Need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you. See, I need you. See, you love me. Can't hurt you. So my baby be my wife. So my baby be my wife. Girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall. See, don't let me too fall. See, girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall. Need you in my life. I need.
All right, I think that sounds fine. That sounds fine. Now we're going to add reverb. Now, you can't reverb directly, but I feel to have more control, I like to link my track to a reverb send. So I'll name this reverb. Then you can just use, actually FL Studio's default reverb is really good, really good. So I just use this reverb here. So I want it to affect a little bit of the body, not much going on in the high end of the mix. I want the room size to be big, of course. This delay will help push the reverb effect itself a little bit behind the lead vocal, so I can still sound heavy with the reverb tailing it. So you can do a little. You don't need to really use the tempo. You can just add a little, then we'll listen and adjust gradually. And then take out the bass. We don't want any reverb on the bass. And decay 1.5 is a good start. We can turn down the damp. Let's take it down to maybe 1.8 kilohertz. You can see the information right here. And then the wetness, let's reduce it a little bit. And all of this can be adjusted as we listen. So let's see. This is typically where I start from before I make any moves on my reverb.
I love you.
And since this is a send, we'll take out the dry completely.
I love you, I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you. Cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby be my wife. So my baby be my wife. Girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall. I love you, I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you. Cause I need you. I love you, I need you.
So let's increase the decay of this reverb.
I love you, I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you. Cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby be my wife. So my baby be my wife. Girl, I love you and you love me too. I love you, I need.
We can spread it out.
I love you, I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you. Cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby be my wife. So my baby, be my wife. Girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall. See, don't let me too fall. See, girl, I love you and you love.
All right, it's getting there. It's getting there, but it's not. It's just not there yet.
I love you, I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you. Cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my
Let's reduce it a little bit, and we're trying to get that perfect blend.
I love you, I need you. See, I want you, can't hurt you. Cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby, be my wife. So my baby, be my wife. Girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall. See, don't let me too fall. See, girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you?
All right, I think that sounds fine. I think that sounds fine.
I love you, I need you.
But you know, sometimes these reverb settings can really depend on what the artist wants. The artist might want a whole lot of reverb on the vocal. Some artists might not want a whole lot of reverb on the vocal. So it just depends on what the artist wants sometimes as well. But for now, I think this is a good starting point for reverb. So after adding all of these processes to our chain, we're going to need to do gain staging, because now the vocals is, especially when I added this saturation, it made the vocal a little bit more louder than the beat, make it sound unbalanced.
Want you, can't hurt you, cause I.
So when you're reducing this, you have to make sure you adjust this as well. So you can hold control and shift and select it, so you can adjust both.
Want you, can't hurt you, cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby, be my wife. So my baby, be my wife. Girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall. See, don't let me too fall. See, girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall. See, don't let me too fall. Don't let me too fall. Oh, oh, don't let me too fall. Say, oh.
Yeah, I think it sounds much more balanced now. A rule of thumb when gain staging after adding effects is when you're trying to balance it back again, make sure you use maybe the drums or the snare. I usually use the snare as like a gauge to know. I just want to be a little bit louder than the snare, but not overshadowing the whole drum. Just a little bit louder than the snare. Then I feel like I've gauged it. Or you can turn your vocals all the way down. Then you start bringing it up gradually. When you bring it up gradually to an extent where you hear that, okay, it sounds great, then do just a little bit more, then most times you'll be fine. Because when you're mastering, you can still do some changes that can even make the vocals come out some more in the mix. So I always like to leave room for that sometimes, because the mastering process might kind of emphasize the vocals a bit more sometimes, or sometimes can even muffle the vocals a bit more sometimes. So, but I like to think ahead of what the mastering engineer is going to do, and try to create a little bit of space for the mastering engineer. All right, so let's listen again and make sure that it's balanced, at least most parts of it.
Want you, can't hurt you, cause I need you in my life. I need you in my life. I love you, see, I need you. See, you love me, can't hurt you. So my baby, be my wife. So my baby, be my wife. Girl, I love you and you love me too. Can I hold you and you hold me too? Don't let me too fall. See, don't let me too fall. See, girl, I love you and you love me.
All right, I think this is good. So now when you're exporting your mix, I would not advise you to do your mastering straight up in the mixing session. I advise you export it and then you master it separately. So you simply come to your file, you go to export, wave, always export in wave, and you select your directory. 32-bit float is advisable because it saves a lot more information than 24-bit or 16-bit. 24-bit is fine if you can't export all the way to 32-bit. I don't know why you should be able to do that, but if you can't, 24-bit is fine, but 32-bit is best. And then wave, and make sure this is not selected so it doesn't export it as individual stems again. For songs, I like to wrap remainder. I don't like to cut remainder. I rather wrap the remainder so that it has a little bit of like a fade towards the end. Nothing noticeable, but just a blend instead of an abrupt end. All right, then make sure this is selected in full song. You want to make sure that it's in stereo, and then you click export. All right, so we've exported our song, and that's the end of this lesson. And I hope this helps you with your mixing projects. I hope this really helps. I hope you're able to take out something from this. And if it helps, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and check out the community section. You can get this project file, this complete session in our community. Just click the link in the description to join our community. It's a paid community actually to support the channel. You can click it to get access to our project files for most of the videos uploaded on YouTube. You also get monthly loops like free Afrobeat loops. You get a whole lot of things. You can even ask questions and recommend videos you want to be published, like topics you want me to talk about in on the YouTube channel. So yeah, I'll see you on the next lesson. Cheers. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button.